Hey guys, Dov here with another best in class video for you featuring support heroes, and absolutely I am totally biased in this, but the Warrior Priest is by far and away the best support hero in the game. So let's take a look at the builds and then we'll come back and talk about him. This is myself against Stormrunner, you guys have seen on the channel quite a bit, and this is from the Death Before Dishonored tournament, I believe. That was a couple weeks ago. By the time you're seeing this, I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, we got Balthazar here for some Plague of Rust and lots of Winds of Magic. 3 Pistoliers here, Cannon, Hammer of Witches even, plus 3 Crossbows, 3 Flagellants, including the Tattersouls, 3 Spearmen with Shields, and a couple of Knights of the Blazing Sun, along with, of course, Bright Wizard. Proc that sweet Kindle Flame with Fireball. Over here, these Ushabti with the Plague of Rust taking some serious damage from the Pistoliers. Don't worry, Pistoliers are getting their own video coming soon. A couple of Nehekara warriors, Skeleton warriors up front, Ushabti, Khalida leading the way with the Lich Priest, Lore of Light, a couple of Necropolis Knights, and then the Screaming Skull Catapults, which are currently trying to trade with the Hammer of Witches. We managed to take down a few unit models there, but back to the Warrior Priest. So as kind of the Flagellants and him advance across the field, we'll talk about what makes him so great. Of course, you guys should know already if you've watched this channel for any length of time. He's got some of the most effective buffs in the game. This Hammer of Sigmar, plus 26 melee attack and an area effect for 25 seconds. Excellent, excellent support ability. Soulfire, of course, is a nice bombardment. Does a pretty good amount of damage to lightly armored targets. And, of course, Shield of Faith, giving 22% damage resistance in an area of effect as well. And if that wasn't enough, he can synergize with Lore of Fire, and because of this Banner of Eternal Flame here, he's actually pushes the Empire into potentially the position of the best fire faction in the game, because literally any unit can get fire damage passively from that, both on ranged and melee attacks. Here, he's allowing the Tattersouls to trade basically one-on-one, more or less, with the Kepler Guard there, the Knights of the Blazing Sun also charging in. If we take a look out here, you can see these Pistoliers got netted. The Overcast, though, blasted the Lich Priest, and as he was running in, the Pistoliers did about half of his HP damage in a matter of seconds. So unfortunately, the Lich Priest here has expended quite a bit of his magic and his own life in order to try and take down these Pistoliers. He is currently crumbling, so feeling pretty good. Knights of Blazing Sun pulling back up and away. Now charging Plague of Rust. Again, these Ushabti here. That'll do some pretty good damage there with that Plague of Rust, obviously. Warrior Priest now finally dropping the buffs. I'm a little late on that, of course, but you can see how well, I mean, of course, the cavalry charge played a big part in that, but the support here allows the Kepler Guard to just completely walk, or the Tattersouls to completely walk all over the Kepler Guard. Basically a hard counter, more or less. Fire damage, because the Kepler Guard have regeneration, will do extra there, and of course, you know, the extra melee attack and resistance and everything. Those Tattersouls up to 49 melee attack with that Frenzy active, just baseline. So obviously with that buff, they go even higher. Stormrunner's doing a pretty good job trying to get back in this. He's got his Necropolis Knights now making a heavy push into my back line. He's also got the Ushabti summon coming up. So this is it for him. He's doing his best to try and hunt down this Lore of Fire caster as well to get rid of Kindle Flame, which is definitely a good idea. My Knights of Blazing Sun had been getting some pretty good work done, but the Necropolis Knights now come in and just completely wreck face. So my back line's getting pretty scattered at this point, but because of the Warrior Priest and the Flagellants were able to win the frontline fight so decisively, you know, with the buffs and everything, those Skeletons, Nehekara warriors, I mean, the Nehekara warriors actually traded really nicely with the Flagellants, basically killed each other, but I mean, in the center there, of course, and I think like these Spearmen also got some buffs there. Definitely pretty key. Bounce power back towards even, though, as my caster has been routed. These Necropolis Knights making their push, trying to get back to these crossbowmen. Thankfully, I've been able to kind of pull them back and create a little bit of an arc of fire here. Some Pistoliers returning back from that horrible pounding they took from those Necropolis Knights as well. And as the summoned Ushabti start to run out, that'll be great for me. There is still this unit that is... oh, that is the summoned unit. This other unit here is not summoned. Pretty healthy. There's also some Nehekara warriors and some other Skeleton warriors, so definitely not completely out of this yet. You can see the Warrior Priest dropping the buffs as he moves through, and of course Knights of the Blazing Sun have fire damage innately, but giving fire damage to like the Spearmen and the Flagellants, as they run in and try and fight Khalida, of course, will be just excellent. And all of the buffs, of course, that Shield of Faith still active, giving beautiful damage resistance. Damage resistance is just such a strong modifier, too. So having it on that area of effect is super, super powerful. And some people might argue that, like, either the Runesmith or Gunnery Wight might be better support heroes, but for me, just the Warrior Priest's abilities are so much more powerful. They just, I don't know. They're so impactful, and you can really swing engagements. I mean, I've been using Faith Demis basically since they made the change to Hammer of Sigmar, basically, when they made it Area of Effect, and when they changed Soulfire to actually deal a decent amount of damage. Kind of made the Warrior Priest automatically the best support hero in the game. Volkmar, probably one of the best support lords in the game, if not the best. But that's a discussion for another day. You can see the Warrior Priest, again, providing that fire damage to all of these Spearmen and the Flagellants. Everyone who doesn't have it already. A little bit of extra weapon strength, too, from that Banner of Eternal Flame, which will help to counteract some of the poison from High Queen Cleata. Tomb Strike active, giving some terror, but she's also been Plague of Rusted. And as the Ushabti fall, she does as well. It'll be victory for the Men of the Empire, vanquishing the foul undead. Warrior Priest covered head to toe in, I guess, Empire men's blood, considering they were fighting bony boys. But anyway, very well played to Stormrunner there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that one. Yeah, it's interesting to see. I really like the pick of the Necropolis Knights here. You can see they did a ton of work, too. A little bit unfortunate detonation by the Lich Priest Lore of Light, though, you know, getting filled by Pistolier bullets is certainly a way to go. Yeah, but the Necropolis Knights did a great job. Thankfully, I kind of, with my Empire builds, I have the tools to try and take on, like, Bone Giants and other kind of ranged Tomb Kings builds, potentially, so I did have the tools to take out the Screaming Skull Catapults. Ushabti definitely pretty solid here, and like I said, Nehekara Warriors are a unit that I'm planning on featuring. They are underrated in my opinion. They can trade well in a number of specific engagements, and here, I mean, Flagellants do cost a little bit more, so technically it's not really a cost-effective engagement for me, but it's nice that the Flagellants can just run in there and trade one for one. Of course, the Tattersouls are quite a bit cheaper than the Kepler Guard. If you add the cost into the Warrior Priest, then obviously they're more expensive, but just in general, having him support them in that engagement, I feel was pretty key in the front line. Kepler Guard can be a pretty scary unit. I mean, granted, the fact that the Knights of the Blazing Sun was having to use their mass, you know, towards the second half of the game to stop the Necropolis Knights, and especially the Ushabti, or I guess more so the Necropolis Knights than the Ushabti, but both in general, was having to stop up their mass with the Cav. The Cav is starting to not trade great and take damage. Like, they're not necessarily going to be an option for taking out the Kepler Guard, so having that secondary buff ability, make the Tattersouls trade with them, definitely very, very key. Just to kind of finish things off, I know I have endless amounts of replays featuring the Warrior Priest since they made that change to him and made those abilities in Area of Effect. So just to kind of round things out, he does also have this Benediction and Divine Power. I'm not really the biggest fan of miscast chance abilities because they're not, I don't know, it's just not super reliable, and it may seem nice on paper, but in actuality, I don't know, it doesn't end up resulting in that much, especially against certain factions. You can take this if you want, if you think your opponent's especially going to be spamming a lot of spells and they don't have healing, more importantly. But if they have healing, it's not, I mean, miscast damage usually isn't too much of a big issue, although we saw there that it did quite a bit for the, I guess you didn't see it, but it did quite a bit to the Lich Priest there. Benediction can be nice against undead factions as well. Of course, if you're supporting like Flagellants and Unbreakable Troops, you don't need that, but definitely can be nice in some situations. Generally, though, in order to try and cheap him out, I'll usually cut those two and just stick with these three. These three are definitely the more powerful effects. The on-demand effects, activatable, you do have to remember to use them at the right time, so it's kind of micro-intensive in some ways, but it's not too bad. Of course, Banner of Eternal Flame, and he does also have Scroll of Shielding, which is quite nice if you have the extra gold and you want to have even more damage resistance on tap. Very, very useful to have. And use cases for this guy, I mean, obviously buffing Demigryph Knights, buffing infantry, buffing, even buffing missiles with fire damage, like just standing there kind of passively giving them fire damage in the skirmish phase can work very well. Yeah, Hammer of Witches, great, specifically against the Tomb Kings, but also against others because of the physical resistance they have. The magic damage is nice, and then, of course, Fire works well against those characters. Just in general, Warrior Priest is very, very good. So hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button every time I upload a new video. You'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.